Awesome. Just gonna wait for the stream to catch up as always, because it was a little bit behind. There we go. I see your screen. Good stuff. Quality looks good. I'm just gonna listen back to my voice, see if it's loud and clear. Test, test. Say something for me, Mark.
How's it going, everybody?
E. All right, let me hear that. One moment. All right, yeah, seems to be coming out loud and clear. And A, Motown, did you just join?
Yep, I just did.
Cool. I'm just gonna wait to hear your voice. And all right, sounds clear. So hello, everyone.
Cool.
How is it going today? Will be our Tuesday development stream, and of course we have the one, the only Mark on our 2D graphic designer from within the office. We're going to start off the stream by showing off his completed list of the icons that he's been working on for the last little while, and then we will be going into the engine and showing off some furniture. So this should be pretty cool. We are, of course, accompanied by our wonderful art director Motown today. And yeah, it should be quite interesting. Thanks for stopping by, dude. I know you're extremely busy. Always nice
No
to have one of the founding members of Identity in here with us. But yeah, I hope you guys are all having a great Tuesday so far. And yeah, we can begin to get underway with showing off some of these icons. So good stuff, Mark. It's certainly a pretty large collection you got here. I think last time we left off, we saw, I think like the bong. We saw a bit of the cinema like popcorn stuff, and
Yeah.
I think you're on the either the cigar or the syringe or something like that.
Yeah, we did. I think all the drugs are done. Uh, for the time being, and we've got there's before like back in the day we used to show off. We had done a lot of clothing and a lot of furniture pieces and some of the other things, but now we've got like the first set there. Those are all uh, the icons that we're going to need for when we're painting. You can paint on these canvases, make your own artwork and things like that, and put them in the museum. So these are kind of some of the icons that we need for that area. These ones here
Nice.
are going to be on the character customization screen. You know, for selecting your face structures or male and female genders, hair structures, clothing, stuff like that. That's going to be on that character customization screen. Uh,
Cool.
and then we've got this section here is kind of all different the female clothing items. So there's not one for every single piece. They're sort of categorized a little bit. So if you've got a pair of pants on, they're going to be relatively similar to a pair of pants, but you might have a top that looks kind of different, but you know it's going to have one of these icons that sort of represents whether it's like a crop top or some sort of other top, or if it has long sleeves or more of a dress or something. So just be they're just sort of generic icons. They're not supposed to represent the exact item you're wearing.
Yeah. No, but even if they're more generic, there's certainly a step up above from what we used to have. I also really like how you're able to fit a lot of detail into such small dimensions. Like even the image you showed with the male and the female, like bodies side by side, you can still clearly make out what it's trying to represent, even though the square is like I don't know what the pixel restriction is for these, but
It's probably it's 128 by 128, so it's pretty
wow.
small. Pretty small. I mean, depending on what screen you're viewing a game on and those types of things, but they do show up fine on in the game, so you should be able to get good detail on them.
Awesome. And of course, for those just trickling in now who have not seen Mark's work in the past, all of the colors he works in are like very hot pinks and cyans or very hot red and greens, mostly because we can easily manipulate the RGB value in the game to make them become whatever color we want them to. And right now, the current theme is to make everything both black and white. So these won't be Christmas colored in the game, don't worry. We're all trying to fit with the theme of what you guys see in the identity logo, with how the face is covered with a bright light and then the shadow is extremely pitch black. It's very dark. So that's kind of the theme that we're going for. But yeah, you won't have to worry about seeing these red and green in the game. They will change color.
Yeah, I think the last time I just finishing this one here, the mask icon,
Oh yeah,
and then we've
It,
got beverage icons. So these are this sort of a set of beverage icons. There's also a soda can over here somewhere.
very nice.
yeah, if you're
Uh,
colorblind, don't worry. These these will
uh,
change.
and then we got the drug set from before. So there's kind of all of our different drugs. We did do a redo of our crack pipe to make it a little bit more generic as opposed to one that you might buy in a shop. This is more maybe one
Oh, cool. I like the fire.
you'd buy on the streets maybe more than a high-end
Uh,
shop one. But yeah, the cigar, the syringe, those are all there now. Um, and we had our set of emotes that are here. There's for doing different animations within the game. Then we
but of
had
course,
all
the
of
dab
the
one was extremely popular, by the way.
back to the dab one, yeah, good old dab days. And then we, the furniture is where we started this whole process was these furniture icons. Uh, we've got some like handheld icons, like picking up books and newspapers and weapons and so on, and then some generic UI stuff, cursors, and stuff you would find on the outer perimeter of most of the interface, and then uh, a few other kind of generic icons, and then some
Yeah,
for surface customization, which you'll see when you put in your when you're customizing your apartment, you'll choosing flooring and different stuff like that. You'll see some of those icons, and then all these ones at the bottom that are all kind of red. Um, those are your different wallpaper selections. So
yeah.
different styles of patterns and stuff you can put on your wallpaper.
Very nice, dude. Yeah,
So
you've put in a lot of work for our icons in this game. Definitely looking good.
uh,
Yeah, you
yeah.
showed off a lot of these patterns when we were going through wallpapers a few months ago. They uh
And
they
again,
were
they'll
really
probably look
something.
more like that in game.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Is
more of a
there
black
is there
version.
a way that you could? Okay, that works.
Very nice, dude.
Give people more of an idea of how they'll kind of show up in the game. More of a black and
Yeah,
white.
so those green and reds that you see in the other images, they look like this when they are shown on the UI interface of the game. The reason, stating again, why they're green and red and blue in some cases, is just simply so that we can pick the RGB values, red, green, blue values of the image within the engine and make those colors anything we want to be. So in this case, they're all just black and white. But if we wanted them to be orange or purple or pink for some reason, we
It would be
could.
easy to change, yeah.
Without having to export hundreds of icons again. That's you're saving stuff. So
Yeah.
Yeah. Good thought process behind that. And once again, Mark, your UI icons are looking pretty awesome, dude. And I think the other thing we have to show off today is you were doing some kind of like spreadsheet work in terms of renaming some things within some files. We have access to a bunch of furniture pieces that I believe we can go through if you'd like.
yeah, we have. Um, this is the world of furniture according to Motown. Uh,
Sweet.
Yeah, this is
this is
the
our
furniture world.
furniture world. So uh, you
If
can
you could get
see.
kind of like an overhead view of it.
You can
Yeah,
Point
see
your
some
camera up when you press down.
W down. I'll go up.
if you
Going
guys
down.
have seen any of Jade's streams,
There we
we've
go.
gotten to take a look at this testing ground. This is kind of where we put all of our furniture pieces in and scale them properly if they need be. And this is kind of like a cool collage of different pieces. Very nice.
So, I mean, there are. Don't mind the naked dudes sitting on couches and
Just
whatnot,
test models for proportion, yeah.
but yeah, you can get a sense of where we're
And
going.
then, of course, this isn't every piece of furniture. These are just the ones that we have sitting in the map so that we can
So,
test their scaling.
so you can see some of them from this higher vantage point, um, but we can sort of look at them in a bit more detail as we
Yeah,
kind
keep
of
it
sweep through.
interesting.
There's some chess
So,
tables. There's a bar.
ooh. So while Mark picks some cool objects to examine, I'll get through a few more introductory pieces. First and foremost, I always love thanking the mods in the chat for helping answer questions. Thank you, Olio and Lightbringer, for showing up. And of course, you too, Motown. I see you typing it in the chat there. Thanks, dude.
Oh yeah.
And as we usually do on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we did post even more media. Today we have some very nice, they were called, I believe, wingtip shoes by Umut, and my gosh, the detail is fantastic. I'll throw that into the Twitch chat below if you guys haven't quite seen it yet. Apart from that, we did get our dev blog up late last week. We actually have we posted it up on the forums on Friday, so if any of you guys haven't yet had a chance to check that out, I will also throw the forum link into the chat there. It covers recent development progress if you guys are interested, along with an overview of the new website and the Gangs and Warfare Insider. So lots of cool stuff to check out. Please do so if you're interested. And for housekeeping items, I believe that's about it. I do have some questions from the previous stream actually that I would love to share with you guys here, and I will do so shortly. But just want to see, Mark, if there's any particular object you want to kind of fixate on or anything that
I don't
catches
know.
your eye in particular. Just kind of
I'm.
flying through.
This is more Motown's world. I'm just kind of using. I'm just visiting right now, and I don't really even know myself what's in here. So
All right.
I'm in just enjoying it as much as finding stuff as you guys are looking at.
I
So
definitely recognize a lot of Jade's work. He's done a lot
Yeah.
of bed frames for us, a lot of props, as you can see, those like floating small vases and things like that. Um, it's really cool the kind of detail that goes into these. And of course, if you guys haven't seen the process behind how people make these sort of objects, definitely check out Jade when he's streaming. I'll try and get him for Thursday. He wasn't able to make last Thursday's stream, but definitely see if he's available for the next one. And just very nice furnishing. Lots of cool stuff from previous devs.
and there's like small things. Even there's a weird knives in the sky. Look at
Yes, his kitchen
that.
knife set.
Uh, there's those weird scissors that I was trying to kind of neat.
Oh yeah.
And then we got
Yeah, they're just the salt and pepper shakers, the scissors. They're just things that you can just decorate your apartment with. Throw them around wherever, just to kind of add a little more lived-in feeling to your apartment.
you're gonna have to make some of those like not like some people have weird salt and pepper shakers. You have to make a,
Yeah, in fact, those salt and pepper shakers specifically used to look different from each other, but now they look exactly this. They just look identical.
Here we have the Sunny TV, as I
Yes, the old
read.
cathode ray tube by Jade. I'm happy that we actually have this available in the game. I'm a sucker for old
See
televisions.
how it
As
says Sunny.
Got an old desk fan there, coffee mate.
There's the desk fan. Uh, you can see some lights in the background there and stuff. So I think that's a coffee maker. Yeah. some appliances for your kitchen and whatnot. I don't know whether
Yeah,
there's
that
nude
coffee maker used to be gigantic, and we scaled it down.
nude dude
But
in a pool table.
Yeah, we kind of realized, you're probably looking at this pool table and you're thinking that kind of looks a little small for a pool table. Well, the reference that we used was kind of like a kid-sized pool table. Apparently, the dimensions that our artist used. So there will, of course, be other dimension pool tables. Obviously, this one can be used for a compact house like a studio apartment.
Oh,
There can be other sizes too, or larger pool tables that you will be able to interact with and play with.
there's all the balls and cues. Apparently, they're inside the table. There they are.
Oh yeah, yeah, okay. They are meant to be on top of it, but for now they're just floating inside of it.
These are, I don't know what these are. Wall decors of some kind. The sun.
Yeah,
Maybe.
little star shapes.
yeah, I believe Philippe did those
Yeah,
wall ornaments.
I don't.
yeah, I really like that. Like,
Do you get a balcony or anything like that in some of the apartments?
you do, but you can't go out
You
onto
can't go.
them.
You can't place
At
anything out
least for
there.
now. Maybe in the future you will be able to, but for
Yeah.
now you can't.
Don't have anywhere to put a little garden or something. Yeah.
Ah, yeah.
There's some other appliances you might. Some different stoves and such.
Yeah, Jay did a lot of these too for us, I do believe.
Look at this bad boy. The geek. You could cook like 5 things in there at one time.
Yeah. In fact, I think that particular oven is made just for a single apartment. For now, like so when you change out kitchen appliances, they all have to be exactly the same like dimensions, because you can't like switch out one of those single wide ovens for like the two wide oven in a apartment where the counter only makes room for one size. So obviously, like most apartments will have these single wide apartments, but a penthouse apartment might have a double wide oven. So you could switch between different double wide ovens for your penthouse, but not one of those the singles.
I don't know what this is, but these sort of decorative things you can place on
Yeah.
stuff.
Very nice.
Some bowls.
Um,
Ooh, a dream catcher.
yeah, you're very like into this, Mark. I'm happy to see you like that because I've seen this a few times on Jade's stream already, but seeing all of the like furniture pieces just kind of hovering there for proportionality is
Yeah.
quite the sight.
Obviously, the dream catcher is a little bigger than it should be.
Maybe it just catches big
Catches
dreams.
catches big dreams. Dream big.
Yeah, there you go.
Uh,
So while we continue to fly through, I did want to actually address some of the questions that were asked last stream, and then we can hop into answering the ones that you guys might have today, if possible. Of course, since Moten is here, being the art director and all, any questions regarding the art aspect of identity, he can probably cover. If there's anything that we can't quite answer, I'll write it down and I'll pass it along to the devs and try to get answers for the next stream. But just regarding last time, someone asked, to start off, had a few questions about the penthouse. Someone asked, will the penthouse be found on the top floor of a large structure in the full game? The
Yeah.
answer was most likely, mostly because that's kind of where a penthouse is located. It's always the like top suite of a large structure, skyscraper, etc. It does have a very nice balcony, as Motem mentioned, not quite accessible, but maybe we can do that in the future. But that's where you will find penthouses in the full game. In Town Square, it'll just be one of the floors that you'll be able to ride up to in the hotel elevator. Sorry.
Yeah, you'll notice in the town square when you ride up to your apartment, um, that your apartment is just sort of floating over top of the center of the town square. And unfortunately, that is because the building that in the town square isn't designed for those apartments. Some of them are far too big for that building, so they're just sort of floating over things. We've tried to hide it as best we can so that you can't really tell that you're floating, but in some cases you could definitely look out the window and see that you're just floating over a bunch of people running around. They can't see you because you're in your own separate instance, but you could see them running around. Like we're sending you their data from inside of your apartment, so you can see other people outside running, doing things outside in the town square.
Hey, nice. Another question was someone was asking if you will be able to use the dirt bike in Module 3. And the answer I got was we don't really have a full list of what vehicles will be available in Module 3 just yet. For those of you who aren't quite familiar with that, it'll be a racing module where users will be able to test out the driving mechanics as per what vehicles will be provided. We aren't 100% sure, but I did get the answer saying probably at least 1 or 2 motorcycles in Module 3. So that's cool to know. Another question was, can you disable the HUD for immersion? Now, Identity's HUD is already pretty minimalistic. If you're just walking around, you'll see a little dot to show where precisely you're looking, but that's about it. Um, if you do walk up to some interactables, it'll say press E to do this, to shop, for example. We don't really have a feature that will allow you to disable everything, but it is something that we will consider later on. But
Yeah.
for those looking for immersion, the game already has a pretty minimalistic HUD, so you're going to definitely like that.
Yeah, and of course, if you don't like to see like the use buttons when you look at something, we can of course have that disabled. It probably won't be an option immediately for the town square release, but we'll definitely try to get that in there quick.
E. Oh, another very good question. Someone was asking, what about cell phones? When will they be implemented? And the answer is fairly soon after Town Square is released. The code is there. It's a developed feature. We just need the UI for it. And right now, it's not integral to releasing Town Square, so we'll work on that immediately after we get Town Square out. But you will see it fairly soon after the first module is released. But yeah, lots of great questions from you guys last time, and I'm sure many today as well. I think that about covers what I had written down. But yeah, once again, thank you to the mods for helping answer questions in the chat. You too, Motown, you're awesome, and we will start to take some where we can. And yeah, of course, if there's anything that we can't quite get around to, I'll write it down. I'll try and get stuff for next time. But yeah.
So yeah, Mark, if you would like to demonstrate like how we will customize all of these different pieces of furniture, you can start with like one of those tables that's I can't really tell like where your camera's going to be because the stream is like 30 seconds behind. But
Uh, I'll use
wha-
I have one over here. I think
okay,
I already opened, so we can check
yeah.
this one out here. I sort of already have it up one. Yeah, so this one, we can change this top wood area if we want to
Yeah. So in the
different
game, when you're
things.
playing the game and actually crafting a table like this yourself, you will have options available to you to switch out these materials and like and have some other parameters as well. Perhaps like how shiny it is and um, the type of wood grain that you choose from. Among some other options, and but for us currently, as things are at the moment, we have to create those options in here in the engine until that's ready to go for the game.
So like we
So
have here, we have on this material list, there's a bunch of different wood pieces we have here at the top. So I can take one of those, just move it off to the side, and we can bring it onto this green spot here for element one. And boom, now we have a different looking table than we did before. Or boom, now we have the old table back. And we can throw on some other different ones. So you can kind of get a sense as we go through some of these.
So as you guys can see, that like each of these objects has multiple what we call material IDs. And each material ID allows you to throw like a different type of material, that being like the different wood grains or some metal onto those each of those
So
surfaces.
there's a completely different one there. American cherry wood, or
Ooh, yeah.
I don't know what that one is. I don't know if that goes with that, but I think that's for something else. That's for a bowl.
Yeah,
Yeah, you can get here's and this one's sort of like a white wood, but it sort of gives you an idea of how some of the furniture can be customized within the game. Uh, I don't know what would happen, but if we have uh, some weird metal and stuck it on there, now you have like a metal table of
yeah,
sorts.
absolutely.
So they some sort
And
of
of course, you can apply that material to both the tabletop and the wooden legs underneath the table surface.
right. So if we move this around a little bit to somewhere there maybe. So now we can have the whole thing look like metal, or maybe we want it to be
And
more
and
rusted out.
you, you might be noticing that some of these materials he's throwing on there don't look fantastic for these. And don't worry, those are just like either placeholder test materials or, in some cases, not going to be used at all.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a completely different table from when we started, but yeah. Uh,
Very nice. I just want to butt in really quick, Motan. I was just skimming through the chat, and I noticed that you actually answered someone's question about being able to end your own character's life. From what I thought was going to happen was you could injure yourself by falling from up high, but
Yes.
okay, so is that what you were referring to,
Yeah,
or
that was what I was referring to.
okay?
However, we've also considered uh, also allowing you to, perhaps jokingly, put a gun to your head.
Jeez.
John laughs at
Oh dear.
that. I mean, that's I don't know if that's going to make it into the final game, but yes, you can jump off a cliff and kill yourself, or off a rooftop, or some other sort of
Fall
large
damage is definitely a
fall
thing.
damage, or get hit by a car, like jump out of your car while it's moving, perhaps ram into an object with your car. Yeah, there's lots of ways you could kill yourself, of course.
Excellent. I mean, I guess. Another thing that I wanted to touch on going through the chat, someone was wondering, like a lot of these images and the objects that we have our artists create, they're very pristine, they're clean, they're shiny. Will there be kind of a set of furniture or objects or attire for people that want to look more like grunge, like,
Absolutely.
worn in or like, yeah,
Yeah,
excellent.
definitely. Yeah, just like different, even with furniture, you could we'll probably have some materials for furniture that just make the furniture look old and dusty, or worn out, with worn out edges and stuff like that. Or we'll do that with clothing too. So maybe you'd like some pristine blue jeans, or blue jeans with the holes and rips in them, and uh, so yeah. We actually
Excellent.
absolutely have plans to do that. Weapons will actually degrade over time, so you'll physically see the weapon get more rusty and worn out uh, the longer it lasts.
Yeah, very
And that's
nice.
kind of a way to control like the availability of weapons in the world, making sure that you can't just like, well, I mean, I'm sure you could stockpile them, but the more you use them, the more worn out they are. So you don't just have a billion weapons in your inventory that you've just been using forever since the start of the game after months. So
Ah, very nice. Cool. And these are also some rather interesting textures you've drawn over that table.
yeah, I would say I'm just kind of playing around right now. I don't.
Yeah.
I,
yeah,
I,
so a lot of
I,
these
I just
materials aren't.
aren't meant for this table, obviously, but
Yes.
I'm
They
just
go to other objects that have like their UVs unwrapped and stuff like that, but he's just kind of just throwing things on to see how they look.
yeah, just giving a different view as to what options you can do with one table. Just you know, just showing them some different
Yeah.
things. Like it could be wood, it could be more plastic, it could be more metal, it could be that one,
Right.
this one had a fabric top to it or whatever, so
Yeah.
fabric
And we'll probably try to allow
something
you to
like that.
control like how shiny the surface is as well, among other things during crafting. That's
Very
something that we
nice.
can already do in the engine, just modifying these materials. However, it's a little like there's a bit of a process to it. So
I hear you. There was another question I wanted to get your opinion on real quick. Actually, I think we can answer this ourselves. Someone asking if you can play football/soccer in the full game. You'll be able to kick around a ball on the ground, but it won't be anything
yeah,
crazy. It'll mostly just be physics-based, where if you run into an object, it'll move around with you.
yes,
Implementing full-on sports and identity would pretty much kind of like be developing another game within the game.
exactly.
And
Yeah,
we don't really have like we could do it, but it takes such a long time that we just want to devote more resources into the other aspects of the game and improve the ones
right.
that we're already aiming for. It would be very cool though, not gonna lie.
Yeah, don't expect FIFA. Is that would be like making another game within a game, and that would take just as long as just making the base game. So it's not going to be FIFA. It's going to be a physics object that you can boot around with your character. Maybe there'll be some animations for kicking as you approach it. Things like that. Maybe you'll be able to kick it in certain directions too. You'll have perhaps some control over what direction it goes in. But yeah, it's not going to be a really complex sports system.
Hey, very nice. And of course, to the guys in the chat asking about Town Square's release date, we don't yet have a date for it. It basically will be ready to go once we have the final testing task completed. In the most recent developer blog that was uploaded last week, John did go into detail about kind of what we've been encountering, and through the final testing task, which is the integration between the UI and the housing system, we actually discovered a few bugs that were deeper within the engine that we had to attend to immediately. But we've got all of the hard stuff behind us now, which is very nice to know. We're kind of just working on ironing out the more minor issues that are currently being found by both our programmers and our testers with the housing and the UI. So once that is good to go, we can proceed with getting it available and up on Steam. And we're looking at Antoine's gamer chair right now. I do believe this one always gets a bunch of compliments. It looks so real.
Yeah,
Like
Yeah,
it's
they come like when we first made the gamer chair, we put it on Twitter and what was the company that
like
makes these
yeah, they
what
retweeted it, didn't they? Right?
yeah, yes, what was I'm having a brain fire. What is that company that
I
makes
don't
these
know the
gamer
exact
chairs?
brand, but it does look pretty
But
authentic.
yeah, they actually responded on Twitter and thought it looked really cool.
It's incredible. Yeah, just a lot of really nice pieces to choose from when decorating our apartment in this game. It's going to be a lot of fun doing that, even in Town Square. But yeah, I hope you guys are all having a wonderful Tuesday. We're currently at 4:34, past the halfway mark. Time flies, and we will continue to look through these cool furniture pieces as well as go through the chat, scrolling down again.
DX Racer, that's what it was. DX
Ooh,
DX Racer. They responded on Twitter and liked it.
excellent.
Of course, we don't use their branding, but if they wanted us to, we could totally put it in there.
That'd be cool. Hopping down into the chat, Lightbringer already caught this question, but I'll go over it anyways, so just to clarify. Someone's asking about the host for these streams. Currently, this is me, Beachball, the customer service slash CM guy. We have Motown, who's just speaking, the art director, and we have our graphic designer in the office, Mark, who's currently taking us through all of these cool objects. Typically, we stream Thursdays and Tuesdays, 4 to 5, and we try and show off development work, usually the artsy stuff because it's more exciting to watch, among other reasons. But it's pretty cool. We will eventually get up a feature video. It was mentioned in the last gameplay stream, and even the last time we had John on stream, actually, wasn't too long ago. I actually managed to find time to do more Twitch clips. Woo! I'll throw this into the chat for anyone interested. I asked about the like when can we expect to see more gameplay? I'm sure you guys would also be very keen on learning this, and basically we're going to try and get up a feature video for when Module 1 goes up on Steam as one of the media pieces. As of course, when you see a game on Steam, you're usually accompanied with a few screenshots and a video overviewing what exactly is in the product. So we will be getting to that when we can. Unsure if we'll do another gameplay stream. Of course, when Town Square is out, we'll all be streaming with the community for sure. At the very least, I will be quite frequently. But before then, I think the priority will be to get out a sort of feature video that will overview the kind of things you can expect in Town Square. But definitely check out that clip. I linked it in the Twitch chat because I know that seeing more gameplay would be really cool. Right here is one of the bed frames that Jade touched up, I believe, about a month ago now, was when he was doing these on stream. Wooden bed frame, very nice, very old.
Yeah, those are, for those people looking for something more rustic, uh, those are available.
Very nice. You scroll through the chat some more. But yeah, I hope you guys are all having a great day. Here's another one. This might be, I swear I've asked you a question similar to this before in the past, Motown, but it's always fun to cover. Someone here is asking, how would you earn money as a criminal in the full game of Identity?
Hmm. As a criminal, you could earn money robbing banks. You could hold up other players, force them to give you their money from their pocket. You know, if they're holding any at the time. I guess you could technically demand that they go to an ATM and pull some money out for you too.
Jeez.
You know, um, like I mean, it's all very open ended. So like, there's a lot that could be a repercussion to them not answering you. You know, you could shoot them in the head or restrain them with zip ties and take them hostage if they don't listen. So like it's a sandbox game. So like you are in control of like how you deal with situations. Of course, there's other ways you can make money too. Uh,
Of course, the drug production is always a big
yeah,
draw for
you
this one.
you could produce drugs and sell them to a drug dealer. You could join in on cartel fights, gang warfare stuff, and there's definitely money to be made from those that involvement too. So quite a bit. Just keep in mind that in identity, nobody is a criminal by default. You become a criminal by committing crimes. Everybody is a civilian until they either sign in to be a police officer or start committing crimes. You know, there's not like a faction to being a criminal. And you stop becoming a criminal once you go to prison and come out of prison. You become a criminal again once you, of course, uh, start committing crimes again once you're free from prison.
Very nice. Also, in Identity, when you die, you do lose pretty much whatever items you are holding. You won't lose your cosmetic items, but if you're carrying some valuable weapons, some cash on hand, you can lose that stuff. So
Yeah, and also like things like other objects that you might be carrying on you. Say you just bought a. I don't know about clothing or furniture. We'll probably keep that from being lost when you die. Like if
hmm
you have those in your inventory, but there would probably be other things, maybe general store goods that you purchased from the general store or from a player shop, and that aren't furniture items or clothing items. That when you die, you could lose those. So you should be careful about like taking unnecessary risks after purchasing stuff from a store
Oh, for sure.
because everything you just spent your hard-earned in-game currency on might now belong to somebody else.
Awesome. And another question by the same user asking about gun manufacturing. I linked a clip in the Twitch chat below. It's been a while since we had a discussion on that. It is something that we are looking at for the full game, but it's not really something that we had concrete details on, at least at the time of me asking that question, from what I recall. But check out that clip. Might give you some insights. And yeah, good questions. Very nice. We'll continue to scroll through. Also, I really like this kind of like tri-table setup here where they all fit inside of one another.
Hmm. I'm trying to load another one, but it's taking some time to load in.
Eh, Yeah. Oh, I believe Antoine did this. It's kind of like a bar stool in terms of the height, but it just looks like a fancy chair too. Oh, I love the fabric, man. Very good detail for sure.
Yeah, when you're designing furniture like this, like chairs and tables, you really have to remember to establish a set chair height and a set table height before you start making a lot of these because you're going to end up going back and having to rescale a lot of these things like we did early on. Uh, After having so like because especially when you have multiple people making different chairs and tables uh, or beds, different sources. Everybody kind of has their own standard for like how they, and units of measurement for how they measure up those things. So yeah, make sure definitely that if you're going to make a game, one of the first things you establish are your design standards. Your chair height, your table height, your door widths, door heights. That was one of our big problems when we first started making Identity. Uh,
That's why you get all these
ex-
naked dudes sitting on
Yes, exactly.
on
That's
chairs
why
and
these people are standing around here is because they are used to measure uh,
make
measure
sure,
scale for
yeah,
each of these objects.
make sure people can sit properly. And
Exactly.
same with the guy over here that's on the pool table is,
Yeah,
got to
and
make sure
I
your pool table's the right height, right?
yeah, and obviously yeah. So like this particular pool table as an example, you can tell is obviously a really small pool table. Of course, it's made for a very small room. Uh, there will be other size pool tables available too, if you have the room for it. But if you have a small apartment, like a studio apartment, and you want a pool table to use to play off of in the game, something small like this will be available.
Very nice. And just to answer another question from the chat asking about weapon degradation, I linked two clips below, I believe. As your guns experience wear and tear, you can repair them up to a certain percent, but
Mhm.
it'll never be 100% back to the way that the gun was when you first acquired it. So eventually it will break down over time, and
Yeah,
it's
they're
mostly just to keep the economy going, making sure people can't keep a bunch
exactly.
of amazing guns forever. There will be some way. You can, like, as I said, postpone that, but it will be subject to the fate of time eventually.
Yep, exactly. And as it gets worse and worse, you'll start to notice things like weapon jams uh, that will prevent your gun from operating perfectly
Ooh,
in combat.
weapon jams. Will it be an RNG based thing, or will there be like a weapon
They're
reloader like Gears of War?
well, yeah. I mean, you'll be able to unjam your weapon, um,
Okay.
but I mean, it gets worse and worse as your weapon becomes really bad. So it's not really RNG. It's just a
You have to make sure that you're using guns in pretty good condition at least.
right. Yeah.
Cool. Sounds good. 4:45. We got about 15 minutes left, and yeah, Mark, you've pretty much Showing quite a considerable amount in Jade's little test area here. Not too sure what else lies on this plane. There's, of course, way more furniture items within the game's engine and other files, but this is just kind of where we've laid stuff out. Some of the stuff for proportionality changes, things like that, making sure it's all to scale. Yeah, quite a number of bed frames, man. Wow.
Yeah, I'm guessing it's probably.
And there definitely won't be the end of it either. There'll be. I would like to
As you
just
can see
imagine
from
the
this
dozen.
angle, you'll get, your singles, your doubles, your queens, your kings. That's why it looks like there's a
Yeah,
lot of them, because you're
Mm-hmm.
gonna be able
For
to get
sure.
the different sizes. So
exactly.
we can sort of see them there. When it, yeah. Otherwise, it looks like a crazy amount of bits.
I like that he modeled the underside of the bed, even though you'll never see it without a mattress on it. But it's neat that he did that. So in case you do are able to look under the mattress somehow, you'll see that it has geometry under there.
Dang. Pretty cool.
A little more fancy with these knobs and jewels.
Yeah.
Fancy bed.
Uh, Another question about kind of like bank stuff, criminal stuff. This might be a better question for John, but if you recall off the top of your head, Motown, what kind of weapons will the SWAT officers be showing up to help protect, like the bank heist, for example, in that scenario?
Mm,
What will they be using?
currently, the weapon of choice will be the MP5. Uh, it's like an automatic submachine gun type of weapon. You're not going to see any heavy weapons. You're not going to see sniper rifles used by the police or like heavy machine guns, like military style weapons. It'll just be you know close range automatics and semi-automatics. Perhaps some carbines too. The AR-15s and the M4 M4A1, kind of weapons. That's perhaps an option too that you'll see.
Nice, nice, sounds good. Uh, Someone here asking, can you drive to your house or will you be teleported? If you're referring to houses in the full game, they'll be on the server land, so you'll walk up, drive up, wherever. You'll go find the house that you're looking at, and you'll be able to enter it. You'll go into an instanced design when you're inside the house, and yeah, you'll just be able to go up to it like you would any other building. For apartments, same deal, except you'll be taking in an elevator up to whichever floor that your apartment is located on in whichever building it happens to reside within. In Town Square, they all reside in the same building in the full game. Like, for example, the luxury one bedroom apartment will be in a particular structure somewhere in the world. You'll go to that, and then you'll take the elevator up to your floor. And there can be an infinite number of apartments in that said building because they're all instanced. So it works out quite nicely. There's another question here. Uh, Ooh, this is a nice like opinion piece, Motown. In your opinion, what are kind of like the cool jobs to do in identity, like the fun ones? Anything in
Well,
particular that you want people to experience that's just really
I'm
cool?
I'm really interested in the fishing, specifically, like in the treasure hunting, the underwater diving, the sea content is really the stuff that I really want to see a lot of players have fun with. Own a fishing boat, buy a yacht, and just go underwater diving. I would like to eventually even add like a personal submarine. Not like a military submarine, but like something. Uh, like a personalized like submarine, maybe like you'd see in Grand Theft Auto, or at least one of those underwater like devices that like kind of help propel you through the water that have little motors on them, about like the size of your upper torso. That would be cool too. Yeah, there will be a lot of water content in the game, of course. We are talking about an island that the map is based on. So it'll be surrounded by ocean. There'll be lots of treasure to collect. Uh, and when you discover that treasure, you'll actually be able to go to the museum and turn it in. And some particular rare pieces of treasure that you can find out in the world, um, can be artifacts that you will like submit or you can donate to the museum. You don't have to donate to the museum. You could have them as furniture items in your apartment that you can display if you don't want to give the museum it. It's these will be really rare items that uh, but if you do to donate to the museum, you'll get paid for them, of course, and they will display there for other people to come into the museum and see. Some items might even be the only one of that item on your server.
Wow, yeah, the whole like deep sea diving kind of thing, along with finding treasures for the museum, that sounds really really exciting actually for the full game.
Yeah, I'm excited too. You'll be able to wear all my nautical clothing that everybody seems to really
That's right.
like.
Oh yeah, yeah. Mark has done some nice tattoos for us in the past. Some very nice clothing pieces that have sharks and things like that on them. Uh, yeah, a lot of nautical themes indeed with this man. Another question here. This is regarding the shop, actually, Motown on our website. Any idea? I mean, I think I asked you this maybe a few months ago, but a lot of people are really curious to see either models of some of the vehicles that they can get or updated concept art pieces, like, for example, of the sports car. Any idea when we might be able to get some new images up there?
It'll probably be a while before we can throw some new images up there. It just isn't a top priority. We just want to get things out for the town square release first, and then we can start like kind of going back and reflavoring some of the stuff on the website uh, and also add some more concept art for people to see too to
Cool.
see how like more parts of the game are going to appear.
Very nice. Oh, this one's cool. I didn't think of this at all. So you'll be able to store your money in a bank in the game, correct?
Yeah.
Is there anything like earning interest through the bank by storing a bunch and letting it save over time?
Mm, no, unfortunately, there's no the banks don't really collect interest. We try to avoid passive income systems. Uh,
True,
you know, li-
yes.
we'd like you to kind of try to work for your money in the game, so like you don't just log in, throw $100 into the bank, and then come back a year later and have $10,000 or whatever. um, so yeah, you will have to earn your money in the game, in-game currency.
Cool, cool. Yeah. How about this might also be for you too, Mark, because you've worked on it, but regarding tattoos, how many are we looking at currently in the game, and how many more do you expect to have in like the full product? Any range you're shooting for number of tattoos?
I can let you know how many are designed. I think six currently.
Six that you've done?
Currently
Yeah.
six, I do believe.
Cool, cool.
Yeah.
Any number you're shooting for Motown for the team? Is
Sorry,
it,
repeat that again.
in terms of total number of tattoos that you guys want to have, uh,
Well, of course we want to cover every base. There will be exclusive to tattoos, things that you can only unlock through certain gameplay achievements. Going to prison for the first time and murdering another player. Uh, Maybe owning a yacht will will give you like a nautical style tattoo of some sort. Like, oh, here's some examples right here.
yeah, here are
Uh,
the ones Mark
Yeah.
did.
We have some tattoos. Uh,
and
Mom.
and we want there to be a large range available just out of the start. Things that you will just be able to express yourself with immediately without having to go through a lot of trouble to unlock them.
Bite me. Yeah. Some good work, dude. Definitely the combination of the three is probably the coolest one in my opinion that you've done so far. Do or Die 13. That one's good too. I don't think I've even seen that one before. Nice.
this one here.
The skull one, yeah, I haven't I don't think I've showed that off at all. Thanks for giving us a gander.
And
But yeah, your 2D artwork has always been really nice, dude. There we go. Sink or swim.
So that gives some of the tattoos that are there, if people have seen them before.
Beauty. Very nice. Oh, we have about 5 minutes to go. We'll keep answering questions where we can. Definitely a lot of good ones from you guys today. As always, thanks so much. It's great to have this back and forth with the community. And of course, if there's anything we haven't gotten around to, definitely message Beach Ball on either the forums, Discord, or PM this channel. And I will write them down and try and get you the answers that you want. Uh, see here. Scrolling through. Motown, will you be able to have private servers that are only first person? Here, I might actually have this in the Twitch clip directory, but I do believe that it will be one of the options for a private server. If you're renting one, you can set the option to force people to only be in one particular view. I definitely want to find a source on that.
Well, while you're doing that, Kitsune asks, he really wants to know if there will be development towards specifically things like trails for biking, fallen tree paths, winding ladder bridges and stuff like that. Trails. Uh, while it's not something that we have written specifically into um, our uh, game design document currently, like things like trails and pathing is really important to us. Areas that you can access only with smaller vehicles, for example, dirt bikes and motorcycles, no cars. That's like we're totally for trying to control like what kind of vehicles can get into certain spots on the map. Absolutely. Um, we don't want you to just be able to drive up to everything. You're gonna have to get out of your vehicle and approach things on foot in some cases. Perhaps there will be obviously biking too, so we'll definitely try to make bikes feel as nice as possible. I don't know how, like, I'm not sure yet like how deep we can get into like the biking physics and mechanics. As much as cool as that would be to kind of like add the dirt biking trails and stuff like that, where people can really do some cool stunt jumps and ramp off hills and things like that, like they would in in real life during like downhill racing competitions with those things. uh, because in a way my mind wants to imagine that is probably a lot like making Tony Hawk Pro Skater with a
Yeah.
skateboard, as its own full game. And um, so right now, at least the way that I would do it, it seems like it would be too complicated to do, but we'll definitely explore it more as we get toward that kind of content.
Excellent.
So for those people that were like, "Oh, everything looks clean,"
Oh
uh,
no.
we have you can buy the clean toilet, but we also have a dirtier version. So you know there will be, maybe we'll get some more assets at some point that will match this style for
Oh,
some of those people that like things a little off
ugh.
hobo-y.
Yeah, that's a little.
So this
Uh,
particular toilet was actually originally made not to be a toilet that you put in your house. What it was meant to be was a like a public restroom. At the time that we put this task up, to have like this toilet done, people like a particular user on Twitter kept asking like, "Are you gonna have public restrooms?" For some reason, he was really obsessed with that idea, and so I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna have some objects made toward that end." and this is what that was for. Of course, John later came up with the idea that we should have like apartments in some cases look run down when you first buy them if they're in bad areas, and you have to replace the items with newer, fresher looking stuff uh, with in-game currency. And so that's probably what we'll end up doing with things like this toilet and also dirty sinks and other dirty appliances within your apartment. Maybe like ripped up wallpaper on the walls and old wooden floor uh, tiles. So yeah. In some cases, at least with some apartments, not the pledge apartments, but other apartments in the future, you'll probably see some them run down in specific areas in which you buy the apartment at. Um,
Whoa.
uh,
But yeah, regardless, that toilet is still freaking me out, but I'm glad that we have
yeah,
a variety. We are actually past time. It's currently 5:01 where we are, so we'll start to wrap it up. Definitely want to thank the streamer for today, Marker in Office Graphic Designer. Thanks so much for giving us a tour through the little test area with all the furniture pieces, showing us your UI icons, your tattoos, a bunch of stuff. Thank you again, Mark, for being our pilot in that way. And of course, Motown, you've answered a lot of awesome questions today. Thank you so much. He's our art director, and he was one of the founders of Identity. Him and John were the OGs. And yeah, thanks so much for showing up. And of course, to the mods for helping answer questions in the chat and keeping things civil. You guys rock. Can't thank you enough. They dedicate their free time to this. So, once again, thank you so much. And apart from that, the community, you guys had a lot of really good questions today. I'm glad that we got some stuff answered. Anything that we didn't quite get around to, feel free to message Beach Ball on Discord in the Identity Discord or on the forums, and he will try and get around to your questions when he can. He'll forward them to the developers to try and answer on stream the next time. So, yeah, thank you all again for showing up, and I hope that you have a great rest of your day.
have a great night, everybody.
See you,
Thank you for
everyone. Bye
joining.
bye.